Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ACTV Sports. This is our first coaches show of the year. This is with Coach Dawson, pregame of the Karns kickoff at 7 o'clock at Dragon Field. Coach, this is your first coaches show.
Yeah, it is.
What do you think so far? We haven't hurt you or done anything wrong?
No, I think I've stayed pretty low key so far. So
okay. Well, welcome to ACTV. I know this is your first year at the helm of Dragon football. So the first question I have for you is pretty simple. Talk about the growth and development you've seen from your team since you've gotten to campus.
Yeah, I mean, I think our team, they've done a good job of picking up nuances. You know, you talk about if the meeting started at 3:20 and you're not in there at 3:20, that door's locked and you're not coming to meetings. If we say toes in the line at 4:45 and you're walking out of the locker room at 4:47, you're not practicing. And a lot of those things, it was kind of a big transition period. It took time for the kids to get used to that because that's a pretty high standard to uphold. And early on, we kind of took some lumps. Like we had really good players that we weren't letting practice. It's like if you're not going to follow, but now it's like almost overkill the way our kids do it. Mm-hmm. They take everything. Everything's a competition. So we got kids that are arguing and trying to be the first guy out there, and they don't even know they're doing it. They don't even know. We think that's great. But I think that's probably been the biggest thing. But I think their growth in that aspect has been awesome.
Right. Culture. It's important to establish a culture.
Yeah.
If you can't get your culture in place, it's hard to do anything else. Yeah. What were some of the biggest challenges for you personally, this being your first season as head coach of Dragon football? What is, for you, what has been some of the biggest challenges?
Yeah, I mean, I think being in more of a managerial role and, having people that – because I don't really view myself in coaching. Like, I work with everybody on the staff. Like, we don't really have a hierarchy system. It's not what it is. It's not who I am. But having to have, tough conversations with people and having to have tough conversations with kids and at the end of the day making, important decisions. Early on, that stuff was not necessarily intimidating, but it's just like, man, if I can avoid this conversation, but I think over time you realize, the business aspect of it, and it's like for the betterment of the program, you got to have that. And I think it's been great for me as a human being, not mix words, be super transparent, lay everything out exactly the way it is. And that really wasn't who I was as a person up until this point. So that's probably been the biggest change for me. But, now you almost adopt that in every aspect of your life. So I'm probably more a blunt person now. So people probably think I'm not as nice. But I think that's been, a big adjustment for me.
Right. Talk about your team leaders. How are they helping you? Because it's impossible to do a job like yours by yourself. Talk about how your team leaders are helping support your goals.
Yeah, I mean, we have 6 captains, which kind of models the NFL. Obviously, we don't have like just special teams players or vice versa, but we have 6 kids that we feel really good about: Bryson Maddox, Ron Jones, Connor Bayless, Jackson Harrell, Hunter Jenkins, Will Young. But a lot of those kids are seniors. Mm-hmm. We have a very senior-led football team right now because our seniors are more vocal. But those kids, man, we meet once a week. We talk about challenges they face in the hallways, in life, in the locker room, things that we can do better as a coaching staff. Because at the end of the day, it's their football team. They get 4 years of that. As coaches, we'll be around the game for decades. But this specific team, we want to make sure they have a great experience. So we take their input very seriously, and they do a great job of giving us input.
Great. So this week you got the Beavers coming into town, and I'm not asking you to tell me what your first 5 scripted plays are, but in general, offensively and defensively, what are you guys hoping to establish this week?
You mean offensively? I can speak more about them. It's kind of what I do. Our game plan's very simple every week. We're going to try to stretch people horizontally and then try to make them defend us vertically. We feel like we have some great athletes on the perimeter, an offensive line that's really come along, 2 great quarterbacks that can make any throw on the field, and tailbacks that can find creases. So for us, we have athletes. We're going to get them athletes the ball in space with blockers in front of them and let them make plays. Like, I think it's important to be able to self-scout. And at times, we kind of limit ourselves schematically. I think we've done a great job of adapting to that, especially last week and then this week too. Obviously, last week we scored 35 points, had 450 yards, but we needed 14 more.
Right. So,
if we can be super efficient, super effective, then we feel like we have a great day. And then defensively, I think we kind of do what we do. We're going to give you a 6-man box. We're going to play quarters. And then we're going to, mix in cover 1 and cover 0 pressures, 5-6 man pressures, and try to make you be very multiple and try to put, high school quarterbacks in compromising situations and make decisions on the fly.
Yeah. That's always an interesting predicament to put a quarterback in a situation where he has to, and hopefully he has to make a decision really quickly under duress.
Yeah.
That's when that happens, a lot of times you generate mistakes.
Exactly right.
Right. Outside of what you guys are doing on the field, talk about some of the things that your team's doing in the community, just things like outside of football.
Yeah, we talk every day, about doing all the right things all the time. And it's not, I tell them, guys, what I'm asking you to do is not that hard. I'm not asking you to go be like the best human being on earth. Like, they're kids. Like, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to, be too loud in public and, do all the stupid kid stuff. But, I think it's a great thing. Like, I go to middle school games on Thursday nights. Our kids are out there handing out water. We do something where it's called a core card. We give a kid a piece of paper on Monday. They have to take it to all their teachers, get it signed, and the teachers write in the grades, and it gives them a chance to write in like questions or concerns or comments. One thing we've seen from when we started it to now, it'll never be zero concerns of a roster of 60 kids. It'll never be that, but we see so many more. He's doing a great job. He's doing this or that. And I'll tell the kids, all that does is create a dialogue, gives them an opportunity to create a dialogue with the teacher. That way the teacher knows that they are somewhat invested and they're somewhat accountable for their own mistakes in class. Teacher writes in, I give them an opportunity to make up a test this week. They didn't show up. And, a kid knows if they bring that back to us, it's not going to be a great day. So our kids do a really great job with that.
Fantastic. Again, it seems to be a culture thing.
Yeah.
Getting that culture in place. That's good. Talk about a few of the Dragons we need to keep an eye on this week. Who are some guys that you're expecting to shine?
I mean, obviously every week, everyone's going to look at Bryson Maddox. I mean, he's got 297 yards and 3 touchdowns on 12 catches this year. So obviously he's going to be the guy that a lot of eyes go to. But then you look on the perimeter, and you're talking about Braylon Hayden, Will Young, Austin Phillips, Cam Anderson, Riker Arms, Margot Chavez, Ryan Jones. Like, we have some very talented players on the perimeter. And then defensively, I think the middle of our defense has a chance to have a really good week. Jackson Harrell, Noah Witt, Charlie Turbeville, Riker Arms, Cam Anderson again. Like, we have some very dynamic athletes. And I think our game plan, especially moving forward, and, it has been in the past, is just let athletes make plays. Like, don't overcoach it, don't over-scheme it, just let them do their thing. So I expect all those kids to have a big week.
Okay. Last question about football for you, and then I've got a few. That are a little out of the box.
All right.
Which is obvious, outside of the obvious, which is a win. Mm-hmm. In your view, what does success look like for your team this Friday night against Karns?
Yeah, I mean, I think success for us in football is easily defined, and the way we tell our kids, it's like when the game's over and the time's out. Like, did I do everything I could do? And if you can look yourself in the mirror and say yes, most of the time that's going to result in a win. But if you can look in the mirror and say yes, we had success. In some capacity, in some facet. Obviously, you're not going to win every game. But for us, if we can take something from a loss, we put something good on film, we're able to identify a flaw in our scheme. Obviously all those things can be great and can help you down the road. But for us, man, if you can look in the mirror and you can say, I laid it all on the line. I did everything I could. I emptied the tank tonight. Then I think that's a successful night.
And so having Karns at home is going to help you a lot too.
Yeah.
The Dragon Nation will be out, in full capacity.
Yeah.
Could you tell a difference in your team when you're playing at home versus when you're playing on the road?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think our kids feel so much more comfortable. They walk that sideline every day. And I think having those fans behind you, it's our music, it's our band, it's our people. Like, I think it's great. And obviously, we started doing something last week that we're going to carry moving forward, or right before kickoff. We get it 2 by 2 and we walk right through the front row of our bleachers. Oh, okay. And last week, we kind of kept it in our back pocket, didn't tell nobody, didn't even tell the kids until we did it. And I think people really liked that. It was really cool seeing it from the field. We did that right after we retired Mr. McCray's number. So last week was really cool, or 2 weeks ago was really cool. Hopefully we can cap one off this week with a win.
Well, all right. So I'm going to throw some rapid questions at you. Since you're new to our area, I'm going to give you an opportunity to maybe let our Dragon fans get to know you as a person a little better.
All right.
So I've got some questions just to zing at you, and we'll see where this goes.
Okay.
So give me the name of your top 3 bands or musical acts of all time.
All right. Off the rip, musical act, not band. I got to go Kenny Chesney. I listen to more Kenny Chesney, probably anyone on the planet. I've listened to Kenny Chesney. I was about 5 years old. Leonard Skinner. And then probably in the last 2 years or so, I've really taken to Alice in Chains. That's my top 3.
Wow, that's
Kinda,
quite a diverse.
It kind of covers all my bases. That's my 3.
All right, so a favorite book or 2 that you've read in your life. What's that going to be?
I'm a big Patriots fan. I love the Patriots, which, around East Tennessee, you really can't say that to a lot of people, but Bill Belichick on football. It's 300 pages, and it's it's a book because you got to read it, but it's just Q&A. It's
right.
Q&A, Bill Belichick answering the most minute, specific questions about football.
Yeah.
It's this situation, what would you do or what did you do? And he points back to certain instances. I would have done this differently. And then another one I read, I got it last year for Easter, was a book called The Carolina Way. It's by Dean Smith. It's lessons in leadership and coaching. And I refer to that book all the time because it's kind of divided up by different things in different aspects of leadership. But I refer to both those books about 3 or 4 times a week. I'm not a big reader, though, but
those are good ones.
Those, yeah.
Okay, so if you had one superpower, what would it be and why would you choose it?
Probably mind reading. Probably mind reading.
One.
I mean, if I can look across the field and I know they're going to run, it makes my job heck of a lot easier. So, got to be mind reading. It'd be cool to be super fast, but I don't really know how that would help me. I guess I could get home a little faster, but
most people say, be able to fly or be strong. That's a good one. Nobody's ever said that before. Best sports memory for you personally?
It would have been when I was in high school. I was young in high school. It would have been my freshman year. We went up and we played a state semifinal game at Hampton. And I remember walking out, the visiting locker room was like a log cabin exterior, smelled terrible, great environment, I guess, for a home team, to put a road team in. And we walk out, and there's a kid got a bulldog on a leash, kid's crying, fired up. And we walk out there, and there was no speakers, and there was people in the bleachers playing the guitar and banjo, singing some song about Hampton. And we look over and we're and their whole team's dancing. And I'm like, dude, where are we? And I'm not from any city. I'm from about as rural as you can go. But I'm looking at my buddies where are we? So we won the game that night. So it wasn't too big of an environment. But I remember pregame and just getting that win and being in the state semifinal. We played for a state title next week. But that was really unique. That's something I'll remember that the rest of my life.
So here's a tough one for you. I'm going to give you an either or.
Okay.
Would you rather be the smartest person or the funniest person in the room, and why?
I think if your goals are the same, if you're trying to reach the same thing, maybe you're trying to lead, then I'd rather be the funniest. Everyone's going to go to the funniest person in the room, the smartest person in the room. That dude's probably a jerk anyways. So, but I would not know how that is. I'm usually not the smartest guy in the room, so it may be a really cool thing. But I usually can make people laugh a little bit. But so I would say I'm more towards that. But yeah, I'm not very smart right now, so I don't know what that's like. But I'd imagine it's not very fun.
All right, last one. If you had to pick one food to eat 3 times a day for the rest of your life, what would that food be?
I tell people all the time, I talk trash to every player and coach on the team. I think I cook the best ribeye steak on the planet.
Yeah?
I've never had a restaurant that cooks a better ribeye steak than me. So I'm gonna say if someone's gonna give me 3 ribeyes a day, I guess I'll eat them.
You're gonna take.
I guess so. If they're gonna make me, I guess I will.
Well, I've had some people pick pizza because they say you can vary the topping so you get some other things.
That makes sense.
And pizza's there's never a bad time for pizza.
No. You can have breakfast pizza. You can have any kind of pizza you want. No, that is a good answer. I gotta stay ribeye.
Stay with ribeye.
Yeah.
All right. Coach, thank you for coming by.
Yeah.
I wish you the best of luck against Karns. ACTV will be broadcasting your all's game, and kickoff's at 7 o'clock, right?
Yes, sir, 7 o'clock.
All right. So I guess you want to end by saying, go Dragons.
Go Dragons.